Welcome, thrill seekers, to a world of spine-chilling tales and hair-raising adventures. Gather around for a frightful journey into the unknown as we delve deep into the realm of scary stories. Buckle up, hold on tight, and get ready to experience a rush of terror like never before. It was a dark and stormy night when a group of college students decided to explore the abandoned laboratory. They had heard rumors of strange experiments that had taken place there in the past, and they were eager to investigate. The laboratory was located on the outskirts of town, surrounded by dense woods and overgrown bushes. It was a dilapidated building, with broken windows and a rusted metal door that creaked ominously in the wind. As they entered the laboratory, they were immediately struck by the eerie silence that filled the air. The only sound was the soft patter of rain against the roof and the occasional creaking of the old wooden floors beneath their feet. The group of students split up, each one exploring a different part of the laboratory. As they wandered through the abandoned hallways, they found themselves in a large room filled with strange machines and test tubes. At the center of the room stood a large metal table, surrounded by flickering candles and symbols etched into the floor. It was clear that this was the site of some kind of ritual or experiment. One of the students, a curious young woman named Emily, approached the table and peered down at the symbols etched into the metal. As she did, she felt a sudden chill run down her spine. Suddenly, the candles flickered and went out, plunging the room into total darkness. Emily let out a scream as she felt a cold, clammy hand wrap around her wrist. The other students rushed to her side, but they were too late. Emily was gone, vanished into thin air. As they searched the room for any sign of her, they found a strange book hidden in a corner. It was bound in human skin, with symbols etched into the cover in what looked like blood. As they paged through the book, they realized that it contained instructions for a dark ritual. A ritual that, if performed correctly, could bring back the dead. It was clear that Emily had stumbled upon the ritual and had accidentally triggered it. And now, they had to find a way to reverse it and bring her back. They worked quickly, gathering the necessary ingredients and following the instructions in the book. But as they performed the ritual, they realized that something had gone terribly wrong. The room began to shake violently, and a gust of wind swept through the laboratory, blowing out the candles and sending the book flying across the room. And then, they saw her. Emily was standing in front of them, but she was no longer human. Her skin was pale and translucent, and her eyes glowed an eerie blue. As they watched in horror, Emily began to change. Her limbs twisted and contorted, and her body began to expand until she towered over them like a giant. It was clear that they had brought back something far more sinister than they had bargained for. And now, they were trapped in the laboratory with a creature that was both dead and alive, neither human nor animal. As the creature began to stalk towards them, they knew that they had to act fast. They ran through the halls of the laboratory, searching for a way out. But as they reached the exit, they realized that it was blocked by a solid wall of concrete. They were trapped, with the creature closing in on them. They huddled together, their backs against the wall, as the creature towered over them. And then, suddenly, it stopped. It seemed to be studying them, its glowing eyes fixed on their faces. And then, without warning, it let out a blood-curdling scream and lunged towards them. The students closed their eyes and braced for impact, but it never came. When they opened their eyes again, they found themselves back outside the laboratory, safe and sound. The students looked at each other, trying to process what had just happened. Had it all been some kind of hallucination? A nightmare? But then, they saw it. The laboratory was gone, replaced by an empty field of cornstalks. They walked through the field, trying to find any sign of the laboratory or the creature that had pursued them. But there was nothing, just endless rows of corn stretching out in every direction. As they walked, they began to hear strange whispers in the wind. The whispers grew louder and more insistent, until they could make out words. "Leave this place," the whispers said. "Leave while you still can." The students hesitated, unsure of what to do. But as the whispers grew more urgent, they knew that they had to leave. They walked for hours, following the whispers as they led them through the cornfield. But as they reached the edge of the field, they found that they were back where they had started. The laboratory was still gone, replaced by the endless field of corn. But now, the whispers were gone too. It was as if they had never been there at all. The students returned to their dorm rooms, shaken and confused by what they had experienced. They tried to forget about the laboratory and the creature, but they couldn't shake the feeling that something was still watching them. And then, one by one, they began to disappear. The first student to go missing was Mark, who had been in the laboratory with Emily when she vanished. His room was empty, his belongings untouched. There was no sign of a struggle or foul play. And then, it was Katie, who had always been the bravest of the group. Her roommate woke up one morning to find her gone, without a trace. As the days passed, more and more students vanished. The remaining students began to realize that they were being targeted by whatever had been in the laboratory with them. They searched for answers, scouring the internet for any information on the laboratory or the ritual that they had performed. And then, they found it. The ritual that they had performed was an ancient one that had been used by a secret society to bring back the dead. But there was a catch. The person brought back to life was not truly alive. They were a soulless creature, neither human nor animal, with a hunger for human flesh. The students realized that they had brought back something far more sinister than they had ever imagined. And now, it was hunting them, one by one. They tried to leave the town, but they found that they couldn't. Every road they took led them back to the cornfield, where the creature was waiting for them. They were trapped, with no way out. And as the creature closed in on them, they knew that their time was running out. They huddled together, waiting for the end. But then, suddenly, they heard a voice. "Follow me," the voice said. "I can help you escape." They looked around, trying to find the source of the voice. And then, they saw her. It was Emily, the first student to vanish. But she was no longer the pale, translucent creature that they had brought back to life. She was human again, with a warmth and vitality that they had never seen before. She led them through the cornfield, guiding them through a maze of hidden paths and secret tunnels. And then, suddenly, they were free. They emerged from the cornfield, back in the town that they had tried to leave. But this time, they were safe. Emily had saved them. The students tried to thank her, but she just smiled and disappeared into the night. They never saw her again. But they knew that they owed a debt to her, one that they could never fully repay. They had learned a valuable lesson, one that would stay with them for the rest of their lives. They had learned that there are some things that should never be tampered with, some secrets that are better left buried. And they had learned that even in the face of unspeakable horror, there is still hope. Years passed, and the students moved on with their lives. They graduated, found jobs, started families. But they never forgot the eerie experiment in the abandoned laboratory and the evil that lurked in the cornfield. They told their children and grandchildren about their experiences, warning them of the dangers of curiosity and experimentation. They hoped that by sharing their story, they could prevent others from making the same mistakes that they had. And every year, on the anniversary of their escape, they returned to the cornfield to pay their respects to Emily. They left flowers and candles, thanking her once again for saving their lives. And though they never saw her again, they felt her presence in the rustling of the cornstalks and the whisper of the wind. They knew that she was watching over them, a guardian angel protecting them from the evil that still lurked in the shadows. For though the laboratory was long gone, and the creature that they had created was destroyed, they knew that the darkness was still out there, waiting for its next victim. And so they lived their lives, always vigilant, always wary, always remembering the chilling mystery of the vanishing children and the evil that lurked in the cornfield. As the night draws to a close, we bid farewell to the terrors that haunted us and the spine-tingling tales that kept us on the edge of our seats. Remember, the darkness may linger, but the dawn always brings a new light. Until next time, stay safe, stay curious, and never stop exploring the mysteries of the unknown.